Next motorcycle is a 1941 BSA M20 motorcycle. It's owned also by Charlie Fitton from Maryhill and driven by Ross Williams. The engine, it's a 500cc single. Going by the serial number, this vehicle likely served with the Indian Division in Italy, Burma, or India. Next motorcycle is a 1995 Kawasaki ALR 250. It's owned and driven by Robin Craig from Hall Island. This vehicle had its service life with the PPCLI in Shiloh, Manitoba. It was released from service in 2007, still wearing its original paint and markings. This class of bicycle was last used in Canadian service by the regular forces. Wouldn't be a military vehicle show without a Jeep, or more than one. This is the 1942 Willys MB Jeep, the bread and butter, the original Jeep. It's owned by Jordan Baker of Hamilton and driven by Bob Packer. This is a Canadian contract Jeep and is just the ultimate in the original Jeep that everybody aspires to own. The next Jeep is 10 years later, built in 1952 by Ford of Canada. It's owned by Brian Oliveri. It was restored in 1986 and represents the Lord Strathcona Royal Horse 2nd Armory Recon. It's a beautiful restoration. The next vehicle is a 1953 Dodge M37 Canadian. Towing a 1969 3/4-ton trailer. This vehicle is owned by Milton Gable of Campbellville and driven by Terry Widiak, our OMDA Vice President. This vehicle was purchased, or this pair was purchased a number of years ago from a builder in Bancroft who had restored it. It's had no further restoration yet. The trailer actually was bought at an auction just west of here from an estate auction and is in excellent shape. Next Jeep is a 1949 Willys M38 owned by Merv Parker, who's a retired MP captain. It's a Texas Jeep. It was restored in 2008 to represent military police Jeep. Nicely done. Thanks, Merv. The next vehicle is a 1985 Chevy M1010. Field ambulance, U.S. Army configuration. It's owned by Terry McMillan from St. Catharines. He's owned the truck for 3 years. It was retired from the U.S. Army in 1992 and then spent 5 years with the Philadelphia Police Department as a SWAT truck. Very nice shape, thank you. Next one is a 1986 Chev 1031 shop equipment contract maintenance truck. It's owned by Matthew Cass of Welland. He's had it for a year and a half. The U.S. Army rebuilt it, and it was the role was more or less the CAA of the Army maintenance vehicle. Very nicely done. next vehicle is a 1968 mechanical mule made by Bayfield. It's owned by Charlie Fitton from Maryhill, Ontario, and driven by Jordan Baker. This type of vehicle was used extensively in Vietnam by the U.S. Army, Air Force, and Marines. Very nice restoration. The next vehicle is also a mechanical mule, 1966 M274A2, built by BMY in Pennsylvania. You will notice this vehicle as it drives up, it's on 3 wheels, and it will turn so you can see it over there. This vehicle served with the U.S. Marine Corps, and it's running on 3 wheels today to demonstrate its ability. It weighs about 800 pounds. Its payload is greater than that. The payload today on this vehicle is a battlefield smoke generator for creating smoke on the battlefield. It has a maximum speed of 25 miles an hour, 17 horsepower gas engine, and it, as I said, it can carry more than its vehicle weight. Beautiful restoration and very interesting configuration. I guess I didn't say the driver is Kylie Morgan from Mount Albert, and it's owned by Brock Jolliffe. This particular vehicle was a class winner at the Military Vehicle Preservation Association U.S. National Convention in Louisville, Kentucky this summer. Beautifully restored. Thank you. Another M38 Canadian Jeep owned by Brian Brigginshaw. He's owned it for 29 years. He's fitted with a fording kit, which allows it to run in deep water. Nice restoration. Thank you. The next vehicle is a 1942 Ford Jeep, Ford GPW. Ford also made Jeeps as well as Willys during World War II. The owner and driver is John Carmichael from Ottawa. He found this vehicle in 1972 as a wreck. Painted pink as a 1960s hippie wagon. He rebuilt it. It was rebuilt in 1980 to full specifications. Originally from the UK, it was brought to Canada in 2016. It's now sold out as a Canadian Signals Ford Armored Brigade Division. Government General Cars. Thank you, John. Very nice restoration. Next truck is a French vehicle, an SUMB, which is an acronym for the manufacturers, a consortium of 4 manufacturers. It's owned and driven by Brian Asbury of Milton. It's a 1965 French Army vehicle. He's owned it for over 10 years, imported it from France after it was sold as surplus. It uses the classic Ford flathead V8. It was made under license from Ford for the French Army. This is a 1993 LSVW 4x4 utility cargo truck. It may have shown off one of the suggested weaknesses of this vehicle, but I won't say anything. 1.5 tons, powered by a 4-cylinder engine producing 115 horsepower. General cargo purposes, carrying supplies and some personnel. It's owned by Fraser McLeod. This vehicle was built by Western Star Trucks in Canada under license from Iveco in Italy. 1985 Bombardier Iltis, also owned by and driven by Fraser McLeod. It was built by Bombardier under license from Volkswagen and served in the Canadian Armed Forces. Next strange-looking vehicle is a 1985 Hägglunds BV206. It's an all-terrain vehicle. There are two components. They do not separate. This is owned and operated by Angus Lucinol from Bruce Mines. It's powered by a 5-cylinder Mercedes-Benz diesel, ton-and-a-half capacity. As a personnel carrier, it will carry 17 people. This vehicle was made in Sweden. They were used by all NATO forces, but this particular one was in Swedish service. And Angus wanted me to point out that parts are very expensive for this vehicle. Thanks, Angus. Last but not least is a 1945 Sherman M4 tank, known as an Easy 8. It's owned by Alan Bott and driven by Colin Alford. And I believe there's a Gulf War vet on board. I'm not sure which person it is. This is a late World War II American tank, which also saw service in the Korean War. Actually, the Canadian Army had these from 46 right up to around 1970. Total production of these were 5,200 worldwide. It weighs 80,000 pounds. It has a maximum speed of 48 kilometers and a crew of 5 in battle. Thank you, Alan McCulver.